person in the situation. And you can do anything with the right metaskills. And I think just about, you know, so what you were saying, like you're going for where the Joker can do that. Anyway. So anyway, I have a lot to say about worship and art, but it's been an amazing thing to be with people coming with their worst problems and just opening the space and saying yes to everything and watching it transform, and then making a performance out of it and bringing that transformation into back into the culture, that so people no longer see the problems the same way after they see the performances. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we have our warrior, joker, clown, artist body, and a little bit in our conversation when we met before, we kind of began a little bit to unpack this statement that Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche made in the Dharma art teachings, that genuine art, Dharma art, is simply the activity of non-aggression. And it's popped up in the group discussion and then in classes a little bit since, and in our Dharma talk on Tuesday. Like, what can this mean when it's areas of aggression in the world and areas of conflict in the world that most need the attention of, you know, the joker to lighten or the artist healer to enter? And how do we non-aggressively work with aggression, or at that very point? And I know that you all have specific entry points, whether, you know, in the streets or Kate, in your bio, you said you took deep democracy into areas like Northern Ireland or South Africa during apartheid, and so yeah, I'd love to open up conversation about how does that warrior enter into those areas of aggression. So there's something.
Well, someone was speaking the other night at the Dharma talk about creating little pockets of enlightened society, or is it that? Little places of enlightened society. And I began thinking about that, you know, sort of like all one fell swoop, like the whole, we all levitate up, you know. And so, for me, as a teacher, and then also as a performer, entering, sometimes creating my own situations where maybe I can create certain atmospheres or cultures, or entering into relationship with. So at B-Space, I was saying to Elizabeth, how great that I can show up and I'm just actually offering the work. There's no other negotiation with the school or the expectations of this, or the, can we take our shoes off? And oh, look, there are cushions here. And also as an artist who is often for hire, entering into situations that can feel very aggressive. And then we were unpacking even today in a discussion about what that means, aggressive. And I think it can manifest in many different ways. It can manifest itself in the term dead art versus holy art, or the aggression of commercialism. Or I don't think that, for me, sitting with that word, it doesn't necessarily translate to violence, but that there's an intention or a culture around the, not even offering, the imposing, or the, yeah. So, and then looking back and translating for the different places that I can come in to try to support little pockets of enlightenment. So that's how I've been thinking of it now. And translation practice, if we can open that anywhere where we can open a gap, I think, a pause. And then, you know, in translation to forms or techniques or product presenting, I think it can go through all different levels of that there isn't a particular type of performance that I might make or feel I have to enter into, but that I think it's more of a culture, of an atmosphere, and being able to show up to try and support those moments. Can I talk a little bit?
I love the idea of the opening the gap.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a time that Joe, my husband, and I, we were in New York City, and we were talking to people on the street for some reason a lot those days. And we were walking down the street, and somebody actually walked up to us and at a crosswalk, and we were waiting to cross the street, and I can't remember what he was saying, but it wasn't nice. He was saying, you white people, what do you know? He's white, you know. He's got, you're just privileged, you don't, something or other, something like that. And I said, yeah, that's me, I'm white, I've got to learn, and you know, my privilege. And he just kept going, you know, like, and I was going, okay, I get the message, I'm listening, what are you saying? You know, so I was trying to interact. I wanted to connect with him somehow. And then Joe turned around, I can't remember what you said to him exactly, but it was in the same energy that he was talking to us. Like, you should be quiet, you're not being nice, or something like that. And he just looked at us and he smiled, and he turned to us and he said, put his hand out, he shook our hands, he said, you have a good day. And everything changed. That was an opening. And taking the energy of somebody and being able to use it and bring it back into the situation. And it was like, Joe really taught me something that day. It was just an opening where things change. Whether it's through breath or meeting somebody in their energy, doing that little performance in that way, it creates that change. I've never seen that connection between meditation and doing that. But really, I'm done.
Opening that little door a little wider.
Yeah.
That first of all, I think non-aggression comes from realizing that you can just open the door. Speaking for myself, it actually opens, and then you go through it, and then the territory gets bigger. But it's creating that space. I feel like art is a lot about creating a space for it to occur. It's like the job is to create the space so that it's possible to have the alchemy happen. And then the non-aggression, I guess, if you will, would be not an issue or aggression because you're so busy, you know, playing in the bigger space that you don't, you know, it's like you don't have time to get. I feel like a lot of aggression in art is self-talk.
Yes.
You know, usually and it's really hard to practice that John Cage quote that is one of the manifesto I try to follow. Our proper job as artists is not to judge. Our proper job is to develop our curiosity and awareness. So it's kind of like what you guys were saying about that. The development of curiosity is the non-aggression, that sort of tenet of non-aggression. It's like, keep going. You know, there's the next possibility, the next door, the next image. So in the Soul Stories work or Everyday Dancing work, that idea is to keep that voice of the inner director open to possibility and strong. So the work that I teach is to try to teach the director's voice as well as giving the direction itself. So, you know, you are the storyteller and the story. You are the dancer and the dance. You know, so it becomes it's an integration process in that sense, and that keeps one pretty busy. You can't really get mad you know, when you're busy doing that, so you can't, but, you know, there's other things to do. So,
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting question, and I'm turning the way I'm thinking about it around as I'm hearing. I know we're not translating it directly to aggression and violence. I see these are different things, but today I think someone had posted something that I liked, and it said, never, it was from somebody in Brazil who put this graffiti that said, never confuse the reaction of the oppressed to the violence of the oppressor. And I hadn't ever quite heard that before, but it struck me as a great way to say that, looking at reactions. People, and of course working with communities in creating play, communities that are facing a lot of oppression, there's all sorts of very strong reactions, right? There's a lot of anger, there's all sorts of emotions, and then working with an audience, you never know who's going to step onto the stage and what they're going to do. We do have a rule, don't hurt the actors, but within short of that. But what I'm thinking about in terms of aggression is my own discomfort with aggression when it comes up onto the stage or comes up in my life. And I think to turn it around, as a joker, it's really important for me to fully accept that when it happens on the stage, and to set my judgment about that aside and my discomfort about it aside, because I actually think it's a more aggressive act in my position of power on the stage to show some sort of judgment towards that, but actually embracing it and recognizing it and honoring it is part of my work. And but I see that very easily a look or a carelessly chosen word on my part can really turn the whole audience against somebody who's just taken this tremendous risk to step onto the stage and share their experience. So it's a very interesting question.
In that same piece of writing in Dharma art, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche also talks about a non-separation with the audience. And I was struck listening about Susan saying you're the dancer and the dance, or literally pulling the audience onto the stage, you know, and what that, you know, kind of the potential for that. You know, we're used to looking at screens, and here theater is still living and breathing and interactive. And yeah, that's inspiring, finding the gap there, but also the inclusiveness. So let's see, how about, Kate, could you speak a little bit about your work abroad and finding, I don't know, finding a language or vocabulary, and then maybe more generally when there isn't that tight container, or you don't know what you're stepping into, what that's like to be willing to include the whole field when that's including, I don't know, combat zones or maybe literal violence.
Yeah. And the place where I encountered the most of that kind of violence was in Northern Ireland, and it was really, I mean, just personal interactions it was in the late 80s, early 90s, and things were pretty heated, and you know, like, it was the first time I'd had a gun pointed at me. You know, it was kind of like going down the street with some kind of military thing and a gun pointed down. And that's a very interesting experience. It's not one I like, and kind of had to go have a cup of tea. But in the, okay, let me just kind of step back from that experience, because that was there were bombs going off, we could hear it, that kind of thing. And that kind of situation where we did this project that was between the North and the South. It was an EU-funded project at some point. And in that situation, having people from the North and from the South together in the room was already a huge thing. And the sense of, on one hand, wanting peace, and on the other hand, the feeling that there's something going to like explode any minute was really a big thing. And in our work in Deep Democracy, one of the things that we're working on is to be inclusive, so that if someone has a point of view that I think they're nuts, or it's kind of like what you're saying, or this is so off the wall, or so abusive, or so like just too much, then as a facilitator, I have to remember that I am part of kind of a mainstream of an everyday reality. And the only way that the field can get to know itself is through this person that everybody wants to go, shut up. We don't want that energy. We are marginalizing you, you are un, you are non, you are not it. And to find a way to embrace it and bring it in and encourage it. And so one of the things that was very powerful in that series, that was a year-long program that we did between the North and the South, was to help people identify very subtle experience in themselves that brought them back to themselves. For instance, movement that was hard to felt. So we give them a meditation and say, notice a movement that you haven't yet felt that's sort of almost going to happen. And then people would start to notice these movements, and they go like this, and then say, okay, now let yourself just, anything that comes into your mind, just notice. I'm a tree. Okay, now be a tree in that situation. So somebody takes us back into their community, and they can hear, they can go, I'm just a tree, I'm here, somebody's yelling, but I'm just a tree, it's okay. You know, so it brings something like an eldership. So what we would call eldership training, so that through these dances, people can find an eldership where they can hold things that in their everyday selves, none of us can stand. So the aggression is too much, it's way too much. So I feel like part of it, as an artist, part of what I'm trying to do is to help bring those worlds of the artists so that they can do that for themselves and embrace things that are really, really difficult. And to present them in a way that's not going to singe somebody in the audience too. That it has that sense of a meta skill or a sense of compassion for both the experience and for who is there. So that was powerful. It was really fun because one woman, she said, I had my feet in the water in the hot tub, and my foot started going like this. Is that what you mean? I was like, yeah, what was it like? And she told me it was like just a real wakening up for her to feel herself. Most people, especially in conflict areas, people are like, just let me get through my day. Let me just rebuild my life when the bombs come and get through the day. And so this is a way of helping them back into themselves without too much feeling, because the feeling is just too much.
I'd like to say something in response to that too, Kate, that I feel like we are in a combat zone now. And I say that because I started my work 10 years ago when my son was in high school, and I felt like kids are being attacked. The toxicity level is so high in this culture that we're in a combat zone against, this terrible, corporate war mentality that is feeding on the souls of these kids through media, through music videos, movies, violent video games. Ultra violent video. So I don't know if you guys have looked at any of these ultra violent video games, but they are intense, and kids are spending hours on this. This is scary to me. I feel like we're in